Now we're going to talk about what it actually means to love your neighbor, even if that neighbor doesn't look like you, doesn't come from where you come from, or whatever the case may be. That's what we're going to go after. And this is called the story of the Good Samaritan. This is found in Luke 10. Luke 10:25. And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tempted him, saying, Master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? See, this is important. What must I do to inherit it? How can I get into heaven? And he said unto him, What is written in the law? How readest thou? And he answering said, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. And he said unto him, Thou hast answered right. This do, and thou shalt live. But he, willing to justify himself, said unto Jesus, Who is my neighbor? Wow, who is my neighbor? See, this is important right here. And Jesus answering said, A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment, and wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. And by chance there came down a certain priest that way. And when he saw him, he passed on the other side. And likewise a Levite, when he was at the place, came and looked on him, and passed by the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him. He had compassion on him. And he went to him, and bound up his wounds, pouring oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him. And on the morrow, when he departed, he took out 2 pence, and gave them to the host, and said unto him, Take care of him, and whatsoever thou spendest more, when I come again, I will repay thee. Which now of these 3, thinkest thou, was neighbor unto him that fell among the thieves? And he said, He that shewed mercy on him. Then Jesus said unto him, Go, and do thou likewise. I love that story. See, he was trying to catch Jesus. Well, what do I got to do to get to live an eternal life, to live with you in heaven? Jesus said, well, what does the word say? So you got to get in the word so you know what it says, right? And he said to love you with all my heart, with all my mind, with all my body and soul, and to love thy neighbor as thyself. Jesus said, you have answered correctly. But see, then the man tried to catch him. Well, who is my neighbor? And what I love about this story, see, we've been talking about this in life. There are certain things. Notice the first 2, a priest passed by him, saw the man was wounded. But sometimes the church doesn't want to get involved. It says, I don't want to touch that. I don't know what's going on over there. See, the church, with racism, sometimes you go to a church and they don't want to discuss it. They don't want to talk about it. It's like, I don't want to get into that subject. We don't know what might happen. We don't want to get injured ourselves. And then a Levite, who was another religious man. These people were all about the law. And he passed by the man. But then a Samaritan, see, if you know anything about Samaritans and Israelites, they didn't get along. As a matter of fact, they were neighbors. See, that's the beauty of the story if you don't know it. Israel and Samaria were right next to each other. And Israelites would often travel they travel for 2 extra days just to go around Samaria and not go through it. Because they considered Samaritans, listen to this word, half Jews, half breeds. See, you ever heard those phrases before? They said they weren't pure. This is one group of people judging another group of people based on where they came from and their lineage. See, that's what we're talking about right here. But the Samaritan, he didn't see an Israelite laying on the side of the road. He didn't see someone of a different color, of a different background. He saw that there was a man who was injured and needed help. That's it. See, that's the heart of Jesus. When I look around and see my brothers, you need something, I got you, man. Whatever it is, I don't care what color you are, what background you are. That's not for me to decide. All I know is you need something. If I have it, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to help you. This man picked this man up. He healed his wounds. He put bandages on him. He put him on his beast. Took him into town, took him to an inn and said, help this man out. Here, I'll pay for him to stay. And when I come back, if any other costs arise, I'll pay for that too. Wow. See, that's That's what a neighbor is. And the neighbor wasn't just a man that he saw laying on the side of the road. He was also the neighbor. And he reached out, not based on anything else, but you know what he saw? He saw a broken heart. And he said, let me help. I'm going to mend that broken heart because I have the means and because God brought me down this path for a reason. See, sometimes the church will pass things by that we can't do that. We can't just pass it by. We gotta go right at it. Like I said earlier, you go directly at these things. That's how we solve them. We don't react in a way that we've been told to react by the world. We just do what God says to do. Love thy neighbor. It's that simple. He didn't say, love thy neighbor that looks like you. Love that neighbor that lives in your neighborhood only. Love thy neighbor that comes from your group. Are you kidding me? He just said, love thy neighbor. And if you're one of God's people, you're my neighbor. If you have a good heart, you're my neighbor. If you're hurting and you need help, you are my neighbor. And I'm here to help you. Because God said to do. Because he puts that in us. That's the heart of Jesus. And truly, that's the heart of the world. We just have to listen to what he says. And then we have to do it. See, that's the key. Reach out. Don't draw in. Reach out. You'll find things in this world you've never found before. You'll make friends like you've never made before. And you'll realize that you and your neighbors, which is everyone in this world, have so much more in common than you have to separate you. The bonds that draw us together are endless. The things that divide us, I can name them on one hand with a couple of fingers. So why are we going to let those little things stand in the way of the big things? Let's get together. Let's love thy neighbor. Jesus.